See, just I open a project like this, file menu, open folder, and go to the location of your project. So you have to choose the project name DJANGO project 9 p.m. in the last lecture what I created. So that I am opening here. So after opening, you will be able to see like this. So actual project folder, this one. Yesterday I created one application, my app. So the template folder also we created, database also we configured, and every app after creating, you must go to settings.py file. There we have to include your app name. Already we did that. So look at this. If you expand the DJANGO project 9 p.m. settings.py under installed apps, I have informed my app name called my app only. So today I'm going to show you how to write a basic logic into MVT pattern format. Like for example, here, this is the MVT pattern diagram. Now you can see. Are you able to see the screen? Why this screen sharing option is completely paused? No. Now I've just opened here. This is your, you can see this MVT pattern. In this MVT pattern, okay, so user will send request to DJANGO server. Server has to
Sir,
identify the URLs.
sir, sorry to interrupt you again. Are you showing anything apart from this Visual Studio screen? I couldn't see MVT pattern here.
Now,
No, still I can see only the Visual Studio Code.
no, in Visual Studio Code, I just open MVT diagram.
No, I'm just seeing the home page. I couldn't see the diagram, sir.
Now, what you are going to see in the screen? Can you please see?
The Visual Studio symbol and
That's
the
it. That's it. Now, wait a minute. I'm just opening MVT diagram. Is it okay?
yes, I could see now.
Uh, so this is the MVT diagram. So generally, when the moment we click on the link, what we get generally after running the server, 127.0.0.1:8000 port number, that the link through we will communicate with the DJANGO server, and that server can identify the URLs. URL means Uniform Resource Locator, or else Uniform Resource Identification also, or identifier also, we can call it as URI. So generally that URI through we can communicate with the view. View give the response into template. So view can able to communicate with model as well as template. But model and template cannot able to communicate with each other. If they want to communicate with each other, they must communicate via view only. So first we will see today, I will show you how to write view logic and how to give the response from view to end user. Okay, let me show you that. Go back to our Visual Studio Code. First of all, I'm going to expand my app. This is your application name. In this my app, now you can see I'm going to double click on views. In MVT pattern, all the models we can create under models.py. All the views we can create in views.py. And template we can create under templates folder only. But I'm trying to double click on views. So they are asking to create your views here. I'm just creating a simple view here. So DEF. View is nothing but Python logic, I said. Python logic means you can create Python code here. I'm creating simple view. My view name is V1. Okay, every view is nothing but it's a function. So how to define a function in Python by using def keyword. So def v1, and this v1 through I want to send a request. Compulsory request is a first parameter, and I want to return a response. When I execute this v1, return HTTP response. I'm writing like this: HTTP response class. So I'm writing here for my response. I need to get this response. This is my first view. This is my first view I'm writing. Just information. But notice this, the moment when I use HTTP response, it is showing underlined quickly. That means this class is not available here. But if you don't know what library is required to include for getting this HTTP response class means, just place the mouse pointer and simply you can see there is a quick fix option is there. So that quick fix, you can hit that. Automatically, it is asking you which library is required to import here. Add from django.http import response automatically on the top. So it is going to import from django.http import HTTP response class, HTTP library. From this library, we are getting HTTP response class. The error is clearly gone. If you don't know for the first time how to deal with the classes which is available in which library, then this is the technique actually. If you know how to write, just manually you can write from django.http import HTTP response like that. So this is my V1 first request. Every V is nothing but function I'm telling you. Generally, according to Python, I'm speaking. So in Python, when function is going to execute, whenever we call the function automatically will execute. That you know that. So now in this Django, to execute this V1, compulsory we need to set the URLs. Without setting URL through, we cannot execute, we cannot call the view only. That's what I'm setting to execute this V1 URL patterns I'm setting. But note this point. By default, when we create any application, the application don't have urls.py. But where is the urls.py? You know, in project level only it is there. This is the project level folder. You can see there is a urls.py. Double click on urls.py. By default, it is there. You can scroll down here. Automatically, you can see some URL patterns already predefined, which is admin interface. Later, I'll talk about this admin. No problem. But I want to execute my application view V1 I want to execute. So to execute this V1, we need to set into urls.py. So how to set into urls.py? Look at this. I'm giving path. Path is a built-in method and single quotes views.v1. Okay, views.v1. But if I write like this, views are coming from which application? My app. You know, in Python language, modules concept. Modules means what? From one py file, if you have some methods and classes, if you want access into other py file, and that py file name we can include on the top as a module. So same here also. Right now, view is showing some underlines quickly. That means error. So this view should come from where? Here. You have to import from where the views are coming. From your application name is my app, import views. That means I'm importing this views. Look at this views.py is coming from my app only. From my app, import views. Inside the views, what is there? V1 is there. I'm setting V1. This V1 is coming views only. So whenever we start run server, according to MBT pattern diagram, you can see when we click the link that will go to DJANGO server, first it will redirect to urls.py, project level URLs. In this urls.py, there is one URL name is there, that is admin. If you click admin, then this will execute. But if I don't enter anything, if I don't have any name of the URL here, within the single quotes I mentioned clearly, that's what priority goes to directly views.v1. So this is the calling of the view or function in the URLs. Whenever we call this views.v1, automatically it will go to my application views. Why? Because these views are coming from my app. In that views, it will execute V1. V1 through we are sending request. In the return response, we will get this is my first view one. So this is the procedure to execute the view after writing the code under views.py in your application. And this view, do you want to execute? You must set the URLs. I set the URL here. Let's go to terminal. And before going to execute, Look at this, clear the screen of your terminal by hitting CLS. After that, notice this, I am not in my virtual environment. Yesterday, I clearly mentioned how to activate your virtual environment. // my env / scripts / activate, so that I can activate my virtual environment. So I am into my virtual environment. To start the server, Python space manage.py run server. So the moment when I hit the enter button, you can see that the link is going to be created here. This is the link, http://127.0.0.1:8000. When I hit this link, automatically what will happen, you can see the request is coming. The response is also coming clearly. So the response is very clear. This is my first view only, it's coming. Notice this. This is my first view only. But actually this text size is very small. Okay, do you want to increase the size or for clear visibility? You can also use browser zoom in, zoom out by hitting Control+ or Control- like this. This is actual size. But can I give, can I increase this size? This is my first view. Yes, we can do it. How to do it means just go to the views, and you can also include like H1 section. This is HTML code actually. So that H1 section, we have to close it here. This is H1 section. But we need not to write H1, that is H2, like this heading sections, HTML and Python logic here. But later we need to arrange separately this H1 section, template language separate and Python logic separate, we can arrange. But right now I'm showing within the Python logic only, I'm including the HTML logic also. But look at this, whatever we enter the logic or whatever we change in the logic, automatically the server is going to reload, sir. Suppose if I try to change it here, again, I'm trying to include here H1 section. Now, when we click the terminal, automatically the terminal server is restarting. So every time, no need to pass Python space manage.py run server command. So automatically, once server is ready, even you can go to directly browser and refresh it once. Once you refresh, it is going to be impact. So no need to run every time like that. So this is my first view. It is coming clearly just because of I execute my view here. This view is giving HTTP response. This is browser response, not a template response. Template response means separate HTML page will display. That also we will discuss. But right now HTTP response is going to be takes place. So if you go to here URL, there is two URL names are there, admin / and there is no name is there. Why, sir? Our view only will execute because there is no name. That's what highest priority it will give to the URL which don't mention any name. It doesn't mean that you should not go to admin panel. You can also enter in the URL address. Look at this. After 8000 port number /admin, if I enter, then it will go to admin panel. But we don't have any admin account so far for our DJANGO project. So later I'll create super user, that means admin user. Once we get username and password, automatically we can go to admin panel also after entering username and password. Got my point? But sir, what happen if I try to give my URL names like this v1 /? If I give v1 /, this is my URL name. But if you go to browser and refresh once, look at this, refresh. After refreshing, what will happen? It will wait for your request. Page not found 404 will come. Why, sir? 404 page not found is coming because you define the URL patterns. There are two URL names are there. One is admin /, one is v1. You have not mentioned any one. That's what it's waiting for your request. So I am going to send v1. So v1 is coming. I'm going to run admin. So admin is going to be takes place like this. Whatever the URL name you want, you can use it now. But my point is what, why I have not mentioned this v1? Because my requirement is the moment when I run server, automatically my v1 should execute directly. I don't need to give any URL names at the time of execution. Got my point? So that's what here you can see when we hit the link, as soon as when we hit the link, directly our view is executing. That is, this is my first view only. Suppose What happens are when we include one more view, suppose one application or one views.py, it doesn't mean that only one view is there. We can also create one more view like this, def v2. This is my second view request and return HTTP response. And now I'm trying to say H1. So just a message I'm passing. This is my second view like this. This is my second view. H1 need to be closed. There are two views are there. That means two functions. This is Python logic, v1 and v2. But every view, if you want to execute, compulsory, we need to include this view names into URL patterns. So that means ultimately function creation is here in the views.py. Function calling is what? In the urls.py. So you must call the function. This is the calling place. And I'm not giving any name. Again, views.what? v2. This view also is coming from what? My app only. Look at this. The v2 view also coming from my app. But make sure this, if you have multiple views in the same application, like my app, so if I mention v1, v2, highest priority execution point of view, v1 only, sir. Look at this, v1 only first will execute. But if I want to execute v2, you can see one more thing I want to tell you. All of a sudden, whenever we refresh, whenever you get this type of message that indicates that your 127.0.0.1 is refused to connect, means server has not started. So do you want to restart the server? I recommend to go to terminal. Simply you can see this, Control C, clear screen once. After clear screen, restart the server like manage.py run server, and you can go to browser, refresh it now. Server is run mode only. So this time you can see we are able to execute only one view, that is first view. But what can I do, sir, to execute my second view? Yes, to execute your second view, so compulsory we have to give like this v2 here first, then after v1 only. But is it meaningful? No, it's not meaningful. To execute v2 first or v1 first, I have to come to here in the URL section. I have to change the name keep on. If I do like this, obviously v2 is going to be first priority. First we'll execute second view only. But if I want to execute again first view, should I change the naming like this only? That's not good. So in that context, I recommend you to give the URL names. These names, no need to have the same name of your function name. No problem. Any name you can give, no problem. Just for my convenience, I'm giving. So v2/. If I give like this, what is the advantage? Programmer can decide which view he want to execute. Okay, that's what I'm giving in the URL patterns. My URL names are v1, v2 like this. So once you go to browser and you can see refresh, it will ask you to enter either admin if you want to go to admin, or v1 to execute v1, or v2 to execute v2 like this. So I'm just trying v1, it's working fine. And I can also try v2, it's working fine. So what view do you want to execute? You can type it, the URL name in the URL address bar that you can execute. This is the way to execute your view. But just observe here, according to this MVT pattern only, first the user is clicking on the link. That link will go to DJANGO server. Immediately that DJANGO server along with port number and IP address, it will identify the URLs. So URL patterns will execute. In the URL pattern, we have to give /v1 means it will go to view. So URLs are nothing but to identify the views, which view user is trying to execute. Immediately it will go to views.py file in the concern application. That view is going to execute. In the return response, what we are getting? Return HTTP response, some message. That message is coming in template? No, it's not template. It's a default browser response. If you want to make the response into template, you have to create HTML page like .html extension. Later I'll show you. Okay. Right now View is giving just HTTP response only. So ultimately we are executing the view and View is giving response to us. Okay, this is the way to deal with multiple views in the single application. If you have any number of views, you can include, but all the views, whatever user wants to execute, he must specify the URL patterns, URL names also. If you don't give the URL names, what is the problem? Obviously, first view only will execute, second view will not execute. So that's what generally we have to specify the URL name so that user can decide which view he wants to execute. He can enter that name into URL pattern. So this is, I'm talking about only one application if you have in your project. Notice this. Right now, I have only one application, that is my app. In this my app, I have written some views. Okay, V1, V2 that I am executing. So what happen in future if you create one more app like my app one? Yeah, the project is nothing but not only one application. No, every time we are going to deal. So it's nothing but multiple application also. Right now, I just created one app, that is my app, but I want to create one more app also. Let's create it. That means I'm showing right now under your one project, if you have more than one application and each application, if you have more than one view, then how to manage it? Okay, now, right now I focus on only project level URLs. You can see this is project level. By default, after creating DJANGO project, only the urls.py is available in project level. But under every application, when we create, no urls.py, you can find it. Only models, views, okay, admin, test, apps like that, it will be there. Let's create a new application, that is my app one. Again, if you want to create new application, just go to terminal, Control C, clear screen, CLS, and I want to create new application here. Python space, manage.py space, start app. So now my app one. Already my app is there. That's what I'm creating a new application. That is my app one. This is the command which I have included in the last lecture also. To create every time new app, this is the way. So hit the enter button. So app is created successfully. That is app name is my app one. If you want to see the app is created or not, you can see there is a my app one also there. But the moment when we create app successfully, immediately where you have to go? Settings.py, compulsory. Don't forget to go there, okay? Because I said clearly in the last lecture, after creating your application, that application name you must include. That application name you have to include in the settings.py clearly. If we don't include, then the request will not reach to the server. A server cannot identify the request is coming from which application. So that's what I recommend you to include my app one, comma. So this is my app and this is my app one. Both are included. After that, close settings.py. Now I'm just focusing on my app one. Look at this. My app one. So let's go to views.py of my app one. Here also I'm going to create what? Two views. First, let me import from django.http import http response. Now I'm trying to define the view v1 again. This is not in my app, it's completely my app one request. Return http response just for displaying the big size font. I'm taking h1. I'm writing here, this is my first view from my app one. Yes, I'm giving clarity. The response is coming from which app also. I'm giving my app one. Let's create one more view here. V2 request object, request parameter, return http response h1. Sorry, h1. Now this is my second view from my app one. Notice this. Here also same logic. V1, V2, two views are created, and V1, V2, especially from my app one. Let's go to my app also, because this is my first view from my app. This is my second view from my app like this. Got it? First view from my app. Second view from my app. At the same time, first view from my app 1 and second view from my app 1. Okay. But we set only URLs in the project level. Now I want to execute v1, v2 from my app, v1, v2 from my app 1. So generally to execute any function or view, compulsory we need to set the URLs. But where is the URLs? Observe here. Only URLs we can notice under project level only. This is project level URLs. But under every application, there is no URLs.py, even in my app, even in my app 1. So let's go to URLs here. But now there is a v1, v2 is there. Already previously I worked with my app. That's what I imported here, my app only. But now we are also having one more app now, like my app 1, import views. So if I do like this, just observe the output. Which application v1, v2 will come. Okay. So obviously my app 1 application v1, v2 only will come. You cannot execute my app v1 and v2. What is the reason? I'll tell you. Let's go to terminal, start server and hit the link. When you hit the link, obviously it will ask you v1 or v2. I am setting v1 request. So this is my first view from which application? My app 1. If I try to do this v2, this is my second view from my app 1. So only you can able to run my app 1 views only. You can't run my app views. There are two apps are there. Name of applications are my app 1. Why, sir, I'm getting the result from my app 1 only? Yes, because notice this. Here two application names I'm importing as a module, like from my app import views, from my app 1 import views. But v1, v2 both are there in the same application. The priority is the latest one only. But if I try to give my app 1 first, and if I try to give my app here, now this time what is the v1, v2 will come from which app? My app only. Notice this. After going to terminal, anyway, it's reloaded already. Just go back to browser and just refresh it. v1. Now this is my first view from my app. If I try to do v2, this is my second view from my app. So ultimately what you notice here, if you have multiple applications and in each application, if you have multiple views, only one application views we can able to execute at once. Cannot execute at the same time, okay, multiple application views at this moment. But my point is, user can decide which application and which view he wants to run at runtime. But right now, I cannot manage my multiple applications, so I can only manage in the recent line which application name I have provided. That application priority is going to give highest. But is that required, sir? Every time if user wants to execute my app here, you should come and change up and down like this. That's not good idea. So that is the problem we notice here. To overcome this problem, and I want to provide the facility to the programmer or end user, he can able to execute any time, any app, any view according to their requirement. During the runtime, he will decide which app application he wants to run, which app views he wants to run, he can decide it. For that purpose, I recommend to use application level URLs also. Right now, we are focusing only on project level URLs. Look at this DJANGO project 9 PM. This is project level URLs only, but still application level URLs are better, not project level. So that's what my plan. In this project level URLs, I am not at all including these two. I am removing, and also I am not setting the URL names for my v1, v2 to execute here. Let's remove it, these two. Okay, keep this admin panel. So later I'll talk about this. This is important. We will also visit in future many times in administrative panel of DJANGO. So after removing this, what I suggest you here, we can also include the application level URLs. Application level URLs means each application like my app one, inside the application also, you just try to create one more file that is urls.py file. By default, when we create new application, urls.py file will not be there. Look at this, only admin.py, apps.py, models.py, test.py, views.py is there. But do you find any urls.py? It's not there. You have to create it. How to create it? Right click on my app, application folder name, click on new file, click on new file, give the name urls.py mandatory. After giving urls.py, urls.py, press enter. Automatically, you can see urls.py file created under my application level. So you have to import the names, you have to import the libraries from django.urls import path like this. If you don't know how to write this, you can observe here in the set already urls.py is there in project level. There only it is there from django.urls import path. This only I am taking. If you don't have idea how to write, better to copy these lines. You can paste over there if you don't know how to write. Okay, at least for a few days. And I know that how to write the logic. So that's what I'm directly writing in the my app urls.py from django.urls import path. And views are coming from where? From my app import views. Next line, I am writing simply URL patterns. And I am using path here, path. So I want to execute multiple views now. v1 slash my URL name is views.v1. Yes, this v1 I am executing from my app exclusively. And now we can see next view also there. We are working with multiple views, v2 slash views dot what? v2 only. So this is clearly including multiple views in URL pattern. This is application level URLs. I'm ready with my application level URLs clear. But same, you created just my app application level URLs. What about my app one? Yes, there also have to create URLs.py. Right click on my app one, click on new file, urls.py here. Hit the enter button. So you need not to rewrite it because already have implemented this logic. No, same thing you can copy and paste into my app one. Let me write that so that you will get clarity. django.urls import path from, right now you are working with my app one. From this my app one, we are importing what? Views. Next URL patterns, IntelliSense, it will be shown in IntelliSense. Just hit the enter button. Path, I'm setting v1 slash. Next here, views dot v1. Next, you can see this path. So let's go for v2 slash. Next, views dot v2. Views dot v2 like this. So ultimately, I'm ready with my application level URLs like my app urls.py is there, my app one urls.py is there. But wait a minute. The moment when I execute for the first time DJANGO server, this DJANGO server directly go to which URLs? Right now, I'm ready with application level URLs, but the request goes to first project level URLs. But in the project level URLs, what is there? You can notice this. This is project level URLs. No? What is there? Only admin is there. But are you saying through project level URLs, in which application URLs you need to redirect? No. So that means though you are setting application level URLs, but still you need to include this application level URLs into project level URLs. That's what I'm recommending you. Go to project level URLs. You must include application level URLs also. If you want to include application level URLs, here along with path method, you must import include method also. This method through, I am including my application level URLs here. Look at this, I am not giving any URL name. And include method I'm including here, include inside the bracket single code, my app dot URLs we have to include. Next line we have to include like this, how many applications you have, all the application URLs you have to include by using include method. So include in the bracket my app one dot URLs. If I do like this, what is the problem? I'll tell you that. So there are two applications are there right now with me, my app dot URLs, my app one dot URLs. But notice this, here also there is a problem because you have not mentioned any URL names here. Okay, for my app, you have not mentioned, and for my app one, you have not mentioned any URL name. By default, it will go to what? My app only priority. You see here, if I start run, according to my explanation, it will go to first project level URLs. It's showing V1, V2. But if I go to V1, this is my first view from my app only, it's coming. If you go to V2, this is my second view from my app, it's coming. You can't able to run my app one. But this is also a problem, no? That's what to overcome this problem, what we have to mention clearly in the project level URLs, you must mention the app name also, my app slash. You can mention any name. These are the just URL names only, my app one slash. If I give the URL pattern names like this, so user will have the clarity which application he wants to run. He can mention my app. Immediately it will go to my app.urls. In the my app.urls, what views are there? V1 or V2, he can decide this. So ultimately, you can see this whenever you go to browser, I can able to run like this. Just a moment. When I hit this link, user can decide. Look at this project level URLs it is going. There are 3 URL patterns are there. It is suggesting that admin you can enter, or my app you can go, or my app one you can go. But if I try to go to look this, my app slash V1 means this is my first view from my app. Or else if I try to go to my app slash V2 means this is my second view from my app. If user wants to execute my app one, other application, my app one slash V1. This is my first view from my app one. And any view, any application, you can run like this. So this is the perfect way to handle the URL patterns. If you do like this, user can decide which application he wants to execute. And in that application also, which view he wants to run, he can easily decide. So ultimately, I'm saying that according to MVT pattern, first the request goes to project level URLs. Through that project level URLs, you have to decide that from which application URLs do you want to execute. My app, if you have to hit in the URL address, my app. To run my app one, you have to hit the my app one in the URL address. Got my point? And accordingly, whatever we enter the name, it will go to that URLs, that application level URLs. My app URLs means here it is there. There are multiple views are there. Which view do you want to execute? V1 or V2, you can decide it. Okay. But if why sir you have mentioned here project level URL after my app slash, if I don't mention my app slash, what will happen? So there is a problem actually. My app after, if you don't mention slash, what is the problem? You can see this. If I start run server, just a moment, sir. Yeah. If I don't mention slash, what is the problem? You can see it's unable to find the path. So I'm using slash my app slash V1. It's not correct because after my app, there is no slash, only V1, it's okay. But you just observe here, if you observe this name, my app without space V1, what is the problem? Somebody will understand that this is only one name, but actually that is not one name. There is app name is there, separate after V1 is there. Just because of that separation of concern, I strongly recommend to give slash symbol because app after there is a view. View after some parameters also we can supply. That's what I suggest you to do like this only. If I go with like this, what will happen? Compulsory, we have to use separately app name after view name like that. My app slash V1 like this, it's working fine. But sometimes what I will do, in future I'm saying, okay, in future, So currently on which application I'm running, I don't want to give every time names in URL names in the URL address. That's what my plan is. What actually without mentioning this app one, my focus is directly I want to run my app one only. At that time, I don't need to give any URL name. So that's directly I can go to my app one.urls. Request goes to like that only. It will go to my app one. In the my app one also, which view do you want to execute highest priority? That view name you don't give us. So directly the request goes to what first project level URLs. There is no name is there, no highest priority goes to my app one.urls and it will go to my app one.urls. There is no URL name, no, it will directly execute V2. You can see when I start run directly, my app one V2 will execute without enter any URL names and all. This is my second view from my app one. Why it is directly? Because there is no name of the URL. In case if you want to focus in current application, you need not to enter any inputs in the URL address during the runtime. Your focus is in main application. That application name, you need not to provide URL patterns. So this is overview completely how Weave is going to execute via URL and how Weave is going to give response. That is default response, that to HTTP response. Did you notice that this HTTP response is active, but render is not active? Render is also will be active whenever we render separate template. Separate template means right now default response I'm giving, but HTML page response required means the HTML page who will render method will render the HTML page. But HTML page where we have to create under templates folder. In the next session, we will focus on that also, how to render the HTML templates using V1. So today you learn how to manage multiple views with multiple application. If you have multiple application, in each application, multiple views, how to execute your particular application, particular view by managing URL patterns at project level as well as application level URLs. So that's all from my side today. If you have any question, feel free to ask me. Tomorrow we'll continue from here onwards again. Do you have any questions? You also do the setup, same thing with Visual Studio, and I have mentioned in the second lecture of my videos. Okay, it will be there in YouTube. They have uploaded 3 demos over, no, 3 videos are there. You can see that, and you can also set up the project. I have given already steps how to create project and how to launch in VS Code in the last 2 lectures.
Sir, I have a quick doubt here.
Hello?
Sir, quick doubt here.
Yeah, tell me.
Sir, I've created a new V1 function from the views file, and then I went to the URLs from the project folder. But sir, it isn't running it because it's some kind of problem from the module, and you have said to click on the quick fix and it will put the module, right? But in my case, it's not working like that.
Where HTTP response class is not coming for your case, huh?
Yes, the module from the module, DJANGO.url module, it's not importing it, right? And you said that to click
I
on
think
quick
I
fix.
think no. Where you are right now? Where in which which py you are in? Which file?
In the urls.py.
Which application?
From the
Project level.
project.
Project level. You can try to import. No need to import any application. Just include this. There is an
No, sir.
include method you have to import.
Yes, it's showing me the yellow line between the Django contrib and yours. And you said to use the quick fix, but it's not working for my case. So why
That
don't you share screen?
you just try to share your screen. I can show you. Are you doing?
Sir, if you can turn off your screen share, then I can.
Tell me.
If you can turn off your screen share, means then I can turn on mine.
Okay, fine.
Yes, sir. I have a question also. In case we are not able to do the quick fix, like we are having an issue how to import, or we can see how we can do the quick fix. Is any Django documentation that we can try to follow?
Yeah. The extensions
In
also need
that?
to be installed, no? So already I explained in the last lecture here, there is an extension and you can install Python, Django. These extensions you must install in your in your Django Visual Studio Code environment. You can see this. Extensions, Python, Django, HTML, CSS support, HTML boilerplate, SQLite Weaver, all these extensions you have to install it
Okay.
in VS Code. You just share the screen. Are you able to share the screen? Hello.
Yes, sir.
I'm not able to see your screen at all. If you share, then I can fix your issue.
Sir, is it visible?
Hello?
Sir, is it visible right now?
No, I'm not at all able to see your screen.
Sir, is it visible right now?
I can see the screen.
Sir, you can see it right now.
No, I'm not able to see the screen where it is. No. Wait a minute. Yeah, I'm seeing you. Okay, just I'm getting on your screen. You see, man, there is a problem actually, which I notice you are in PowerShell actually in the terminal window. Okay. First of all, you just go to command prompt. There command prompt, you can click on it. Command prompt. And you just activate your virtual environment here. //mynv slash first mynv /script/activate. Got it. Right. Okay. But you did mistake, man. There is a line number 1. You just see that from django.http. You have mentioned http.client. Remove that line. From django.http. You just write the django. Django dot http import. You have done spell mistake http response. You can remove that. http h capital r capital only.
It was default.
That's all. Below also line number 6, you can see that their same class should be there. Now you just run it and it'll be clear, not a problem. Run server.
That's okay. It's running.
Wait. Now you can hit the link. Got it.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. But just install the extension so it will be clear. No problem.
Sir, why is it showing that the yellow line between the from the module?
It's just warnings. Okay, that will be go out immediately. Whenever you do extensions installation, all will be clear. Nothing wrong. That is.
I did install the extension yesterday itself.
Yeah. There is a left hand side in VS Code extensions option is there. No, there you have to get it. All these extension like this in the search. You have to type Python, Django, all. So it's okay, no problem. For me, it's not showing anything. You can see this. There is no warnings and all.
Sir, how to avoid this the error? Because I did install it, the extension.
Come again.
Is there any way to remove this error part? Because I did install the Django extensions.
That is what I'm saying. No, there is a VS Code. There is a left-hand side panel extensions. You can click on it in the sets. First extension, you have to install Python like this.
Yes, I did download it. I did download everything, but still, how to remove this? The yellow one file.
I'll assist you. No worries at all. Okay. That's not an issue because your server is running well, but some extensions are required to download it. I think it's not fulfill in your window. So that's why it's showing some warnings.